My name is Laura Soder. I'm Megan Stanton. I'm the Education Program Coordinator.
My name is Kiera, Broderick. I am one of the ambassador animal keepers here at Elmwood
Park Zoo in Norristown, Pennsylvania.
Hello, I'm John Rossi. I'm a touring drummer with a passion for animal conservation. When I'm on the road, I spend as much time as possible visiting zoos, aquariums, and conservation organizations. Now, I want to share those places with you. I'll be talking to keepers, vets, conservationists, anyone who can help me in my mission of connecting my people to animals through their people. Join me on my Rossifari. Hi, hello, how are you? Welcome back to a brand new year of the Rossifari podcast. So obviously, it has been a while since there have been new episodes of Rossifari, and I want to thank y'all for, accommodating my couple weeks off. I hope y'all really enjoyed the best of episodes that I ran. I did get a lot of positive comments on them, and while numbers were down a little bit over that time, it seems like a whole lot of people were still really enjoying that content, which makes me really happy, and also reminds me that, I don't have to go another 5.5 years without taking some time off. So thank you for that. But more importantly, it just means that I'm excited to be back. It's 2026. And we've got a lot of great content coming your way. I have a bunch of really cool interviews recorded already. And on top of that, some really cool stuff in the works for this year already. I'm pretty confident in saying that this is going to be the biggest year for Rossifari yet, which is really exciting. Now, I will talk to y'all more about the whole break that I had and things that I did and all of that stuff in the intro to Zoo News on Friday, like I always do. But that's not why we're here today. We are here today to do an interview. Or 3. We're actually going to do 3 minterviews in this episode, all from various people involved with ambassador animals at Elmwood Park Zoo. Now, y'all know that when I lived in the Philly area, I went to Elmwood Park Zoo all the time, and it remains one of my favorite places in the world. And I was really excited to get back there when I was gigging in Philly last year and to spend some time with these new ambassador animals in 2 cases, and an older one in the 3rd case, and with the keepers as well. And I really wanted to drop this episode right now because the NFL season just officially ended with the postseason starting this weekend. And it turns out that Elmwood Park Zoo is the home of the Philadelphia Eagles mascots. And so you're going to hear what it's like training a bird to be ready to be seen in front of 70,000 plus people. And that's just incredible. That's not, what eagles are normally looking to do. So how you build that relationship and how you get an animal comfortable with that is a really, really cool thing to look at. So we talk about that. And then we also talk about 2 ambassador animals that are kind of, things that you can see in your backyard if you live in North America. And I think that's very special. I love seeing those kinds of connections. So yeah, I'm really excited to share all of these different people and different animals with you. And all 3 of these interviews were recorded with me getting to meet the animals in question. So you'll get to hear kind of some of my take on it as well. So I'm really stoked to get to that. As y'all can tell, I'm feeling really good after my break. I'm really excited to be back. And I love that we're starting a new year with a facility that I love so dang much. So without further ado, here are my interviews with Laura, Megan, and Kiera, who are all on the ambassador team at Elmwood Park Zoo. And we are going to start with our good friend who's been on the podcast before, Laura Soder. Enjoy, y'all.
My My name is Laura Soder, and I am the Director of Ambassador Animal Engagement. So I oversee the Ambassador Animal Collection in our education department and their presentation and training and all of the programming that we do with them here.
Yeah, and it's been a while since you've been on the pod,
Yes.
but for old school listeners, they will recognize the name, and that is a new, that is a bump up in position.
It is. It's a new title. Yeah.
Congratulations.
It's been a few years, and I'm excited to be back.
So let's get right into it. Who are we hanging out with right now?
So we are hanging out with Reggie. He is one of our ambassador bald eagles here at the zoo, and he is currently enjoying some enrichment. Reggie really enjoys shredding and destroying things. So to keep him occupied and to stimulate his brain and his body, we give him, usually it's recycled materials. Today he's got some toilet paper tubes and some egg cartons with paper, and then we hide snacks in there. And so that way he can kind of do his natural hunting, shredding behavior.
And you were telling me something interesting, and I've gotten to see this, and it's really funny. So when you think about enrichment, when you think about, hiding food items and stuff, normally what happens is the animal has to think about how to get to the food and then immediately stops and enjoys the food. But that's not what we've been seeing here. So talk about that a little bit.
Yeah. So Reggie does, of course, love a good snack.
Oh, yeah.
The key to his heart is through his stomach many times. But the act of shredding and ripping and that natural prey drive behavior is also really reinforcing for him. So he will often, destroy and rip and pull it apart and find the snack and then kind of just like hold it off to the side and continue to shred and rip the rest of the enrichment, which is what he's very busy doing right now. So he already knows the snack, is there, or he's eaten it, or, he's put it off to the side, but he still enjoys that active shredding process.
Yeah, I noticed at one point he was shredding right around the snack, and he had found it. He knew it was there. And he got a little bit of the mouse in his beak and opened his mouth and then boom, and went back to the shredding around it. Was like, no, it's not time for that yet.
Yeah. And it's nice to see that because it shows me that he's not overly anxious for food. He's not, hyper focused. He's just doing natural bird things and he's enjoying that process. We like to think of it as kind of almost like a fidget board for an eagle.
That's very real, very real. And this is not just a very cool eagle, but is a famous eagle.
He is.
So talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, so Reggie is one of our two ambassador bald eagles here at the zoo. Noah and Reggie, Noah's our other eagle, they are the official live mascots for the Philadelphia Eagles football team. So they take turns going down to every home game. We attend every training camp appearance. We do other events with them, such as Huddle Up for Autism and their Kids Club Halloween. And so Reggie is one of the birds that you can meet on the plaza down at the link if you show up for game day. And this is actually his 6th season as a live mascot. So he's been doing it for a little bit now. And he was just at the game against the Giants. So I'd like to say he maybe brought them a little bit of luck for that. And we actually kind of translate this ripping and shredding, this enrichment behavior at the link as well. So we're out there for several hours. We do take breaks, but it's a long time to be out in front of people. And our goal is always to make sure our birds are comfortable and they enjoy their job as ambassadors. So we do reinforce them very heavily with snacks when they're out, but we found that Reggie loves to play with his enrichment while he's out as well. So we got permission from the Eagles to paint his enrichment. We can't use official logos or anything. We don't want to make anyone mad, but we will paint the enrichment different colors to imply the other team. And so it's a really fun fan experience as well. People get to watch him play with the enrichment. It opens up a conversation about what enrichment is, why it's important for animal welfare, and it keeps Reggie happy and busy.
Yeah, which is really awesome. I do love the tearing up the other team aspect of it. It's really funny. So I'm curious, and I'm going to ask this. Reggie, don't take offense to this, but eagles are dorks.
As he purely demonstrates for you right now, almost perfectly on cue.
That was amazing. For those listening, he literally got his talon stuck in a little bit of the enrichment and flapped his wings and flopped and sent stuff flying everywhere right on cue when I said that. That was amazing. But so eagles have this reputation of being super majestic and graceful. And they have that going too, or at least majestic. I don't, graceful's a trick. But, I'm sure a lot of my listeners know, but that beautiful eagle call that you hear in movies is actually a red-tailed hawk. They make really dorky noises. So I'm curious, while I'm sure it's great for education and stuff, do you ever get people that come up and are like, oh, this is what our team is named after?
We definitely, it's funny if people stay around long enough and they get to know our birds. I think, you start to see more of their personality come through. And you also start to realize that they are, just like us, individuals. They have their quirks. And, in Reggie's case, unfortunately, he has a partial wing amputation. He was hit by a car, so he is unable to fly. So he is definitely far from graceful at times, as you just witnessed. So there's definitely those moments where, they might be picturing that, iconic eagle image in your head where it's soaring over the sky or perched and looking perfect. And then they come up and they see Reggie, kind of stumble a little bit or put his wings out and look a little silly. And it might break that a little bit. But we also like to have that opportunity for people to get to know their personalities, to build a little bit of empathy as well. So you can get to know them and enjoy them for all of their weird quirks. And then people hear them too. Noah, our other eagle, is pretty vocal. They're usually surprised by how silly he sounds when he makes that noise.
Yeah, that is.
But Reggie does have his majestic moments at times, like right now. There you go.
Reggie just got up on his perch as though to show off that he is, a good eagle and not just a big dork.
Yep.
And we all just witnessed what you did, buddy. So that's not really working, but you do look quite impressive.
There's a little bit of duality there.
Yeah, and that's true of all of us.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh. So you have two birds that go and do this ambassador thing. How do you train? I mean, we've talked a lot about training on this podcast and, especially with birds but how do you, I used to play at the Baltimore Ravens games. Mm-hmm. It's like, you're talking like 70,000 people.
Yes.
That is an inescapably large, it is indescribable. How do you train an eagle to get ready to be seen by 70,000 people?
Yeah, it's a big process. And I was lucky enough to get to train Reggie from the start. So when I came to the zoo, Noah, our other eagle ambassador, he's been doing the mascot job for 11 seasons. So he was a seasoned pro already, but Reggie was new. And that was a huge question. How do we even get to the point where he's comfortable? Because that's always our goal, is that our animal is comfortable and wants to be there. So we started off small. There's a lot of relationship building. And mostly that means the trainer is working on building up trust with that animal. Eagles don't form bonds the way a dog or maybe, other pets do. They don't really owe us anything necessarily. So you have to kind of find a way to show them that you're not a threat. They are a large predatory species. And so there's a lot of that trust building. As you can see, he's not too bothered by us at all.
No.
He's going to be a ground eagle now. And then once you get to the point where you can recognize their quirks and body language and they understand what you're asking of them, then you start to build on that with the different distractions and the very varied experiences. So we bring them out a lot at the zoo. These guys get a break after training season or after eagle season ends. So we actually give them about a 2-month vacation.
Nice.
So every spring they have to come out of vacation and we kind of work back up to it. But we bring them out in the zoo on busier days. We have other staff that help us with desensitization. If there's something that the bird is definitely uncomfortable with, we will work to introduce it in a safer space in a further distance and work up to that. And then with the crowds, a lot of that is just you're practicing in the moment. So every time we go to the link is a training session. You're never done training.
Right, of course, yeah.
And so, we try to set them up for success. We know what works as far as reinforcement and what they like. So again, Reggie loves enrichment. And we can't control everything in those situations. So we try to look at it as, even if there is something that spooks them or they're uncomfortable, can we work through it? Can we make sure they feel safe right after? Can we control what we can control? Can we make sure that, people understand what's going on as well, because we want it to be a teachable moment for people, that this animal isn't being forced to be here, that they're actually, they have a lot of choice. With our birds, and including Noah and Reggie, They are trained to voluntarily shift into their crates. They go on a scale, they go on the glove. Reggie actually is hood trained as well. So you can see he's not wearing any equipment right now. He's naked, we like to say. And that's because Reggie destroys his equipment if it's left on for too long.
That is unsurprising to me.
Yeah, no, complete shocker. And so we've trained him to lean into the hood, which is used to kind of, block out their vision and make them feel really comfortable and calm. So he can put his equipment on every day. So every game day, he shifts out, he goes in his crate, he goes on a scale, he goes and puts the hood on, he puts on his equipment, and then he goes down to the link. And so we try in every possible way to give them the power to choose, yes, I want to come out. Yes, I want to do the next step. Yes. And we found that really sets them up to being generally more comfortable and better when they're out in these really kind of chaotic situations. But there's no perfect formula. And like I said, Reggie's been doing this for 6 seasons and we're still learning how to make it work for him in the best way possible. And that's kind of part of the fun. And it's so rewarding when it all comes together. Reggie did go out on the field for the national anthem 2 seasons ago, and it was probably the most terrifying but rewarding moment of my life.
I bet.
When he walked out. So Reggie can't fly, so he doesn't do the flyover, but we were out in front of I think it's 67,000 is how many fans are at the link. And it's so loud and there's so much going on, and to have him sit there and just be kind of paying attention to me and be okay with it was huge. But it's a lot of work and it's a lot of constant readjustment. Reggie last year had a rough start to his season. He was just not feeling it at training camp. And so we actually put him away for the first time during an appearance. And the really great thing is that people love that transparency too.
Right.
So people were sad, when he went back in his crate, but when we explained he's just not feeling it today, he's having an off day, we all have those moments, and they were respectful of that. And so we also try to make sure people understand that, again, we're always trying to put his welfare and safety and comfort first.
Guys, the reason we keep laughing is that he's just walking around and they're just not.
Eagles walking
graceful.
is just so silly.
Yeah, it's oh my gosh. Yeah, it's just very entertaining. And he's just being an eagle. But to us, it's like, oh my gosh, you look like such a dork.
Yes, clearly he's very comfortable with the scenario.
Yes,
he's just vibing.
Yeah, absolutely. Now I noticed something, and I don't know if this is just a you thing or if it's something. Yeah, I noticed it. I could be completely wrong. But I noticed that the whole time he's been out pretty much, you have had your hands behind your back. And I'm wondering if that is just that you like to stand with your hands behind your back, or if that is because, since he is glove trained, you don't want him to accidentally think that you're giving a cue and suddenly end up with those talons in your arm.
Yeah, so it is kind of both. It's like a natural position, but very much so he is trained to step up on the glove and he receives reinforcement from my hands many times. So as you can see, he's looking for me to give a response, which is true Reggie form. As I mentioned earlier, I think before we were talking on the pod, Reggie gets bored or he starts to try to figure out, how do I get something from you?
Right.
And so, yes, it is partially just trying to make sure that I don't give him a cue that is confusing, because, these birds are extremely visually oriented. Like they are incredible eyesight, and they know any subtle movement and they'll react to that. And that's a really hard thing too, when you're in a training situation. Like when we go down to Eagles games, we actually learned that Reggie figured out that we would reinforce him with food if we thought he was feeling uncomfortable. And so we look for specific body language with that. A lot of times it's, a bird kind of craning their neck, putting their wings out, getting really tall. And he was doing it more than normal and for seemingly no reason. And I was trying to figure out what's going on. And I finally waited him out one time and he did it. He did all the signs and then he stopped and he looked at me. He was waiting for me to give him a reinforcer.
Fascinating.
So we call that fishing. And he learned that I would respond if he was saying, hey, look, I'm uncomfortable. And which is, not a fun thing to learn at an Eagles game where now you're in front of a crowd of thousands of people and you're suddenly figuring out how to work through a behavior together. But yes, so it is something that we do to try to just be mindful of our general body language. They can pick up on so many things. They learn things that you don't necessarily mean to train. And so that's where, like I said, we're always adjusting, always figuring things out. I am probably going to let him hop up on the glove and go in his crate.
Yeah, that's
just fair. Since he's going to eventually get frustrated with me.
Yeah, no, I get that. He's very focused on you now, and he was not. He was not at first.
No, he was not at first. He also recognizes the training cup. He knows that there's snacks in the training cup. Sure. So we're going to see if he wants to hop up here so he can go back in his crate.
Yes. No, and of course, the reason that I even recognized that you might be holding your arms that way for that reason was something I learned here back in when I first met Banshee, the owl, because Banshee thought maybe my arm was where he was supposed to go. And that was not the case, but it was very, very funny realizing, ending up with an owl on my arm and being like, oh, yep.
Yeah,
that was such a fun time.
They learn pretty quickly that the arm, the glove, the space is where they want to go. Can I help you? I can help you up there. Or do you want to do it yourself? I don't really know if you can do that yourself, bud. He is a determined eagle.
I can see that. Yes, so he's currently debating whether to get in his crate or not, and seems to think he can do it without a boost up.
Yeah, it's a little tall, buddy. Look, why don't we go that way?
Okay.
You got it.
There we go.
There you go.
That was graceful. Nobody got slapped in the face with a wing, so that's good.
It's just part of the job.
Yeah, that's fair.
That's jokingly what we tell people. Whenever we go down to the games, we always have, about a 10-foot perimeter just to make sure that everybody feels comfortable and safe. And that's the joke we tell people is I get paid to get smacked by that big wingspan. You do not. So
that's fantastic. That was very cool.
Yeah, he's a good
cool
guy.
Bird. Yeah.
And we're really lucky to have that partnership. It's an awesome opportunity for us to go down and meet with an audience that isn't our usual zoo audience.
Yeah.
And like I said, we love to talk about the training aspect and the enrichment, but also the conservation success story that eagles are. That is really, one of the biggest things we promote. They're a species that we almost lost to extinction due to human causes. And then they're also a species that came back because of human action. And that's such a good message of hope, especially in a time where we are losing other species and, we need to protect those habitats and things. So as silly as Reggie is and entertaining, we also really want people to take away that message and that empathy and build a relationship. We have people that come back game after game and they're like, oh, which one is it today? And that's so fun for us to get to have that memory and to have that following for these guys.
Yeah, no, that's really cool. And you're absolutely right. I actually think it's really great that they're dorks. Like, I know we've harped on that a lot, and rightly so. But I think that sometimes it's almost like when people think oh, maybe someone they're attracted to is unapproachable or something like that. Like the eagles of movies are too cool for school, and you're not getting. But they're cool, they're chill. You can talk to them, and I think that's important to understand.
Yes,
so,
yes. Reggie is just a normal guy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, very cool. Awesome. Well, thanks for this opportunity. It's been great.
Of course.
I'm Megan Stanton. I'm the Education Program Coordinator.
Yeah, very cool. And so we are here to talk about some very specific animals. But before we do, tell me a little bit about how long you've been here and what your journey was to get here.
Yeah, so I've been in education for about 5 years now. I've worked at the zoo for 6. So I actually started at our old Treetop Adventures back in 2019. And then made my way to education, doing being a camp counselor, part-time educator, and then working my way up to being the full-time position I am today.
Nice, very cool. And so, what draws you to ambassadors in general?
All right, we'll be back after this quick break.
Please join me for the Nature Disturbed podcast, a podcast about the good, the offensive, and the confusing parts of the animal kingdom, from the sewers of Florida searching for alligators. Oh no, did I forget to put the bins out? To the surface of Mars, investigating the possibility of life beyond Earth. Sorry, I had some bubbles lodged in my throat. I said, to the bottom of the Mariana Trench, all while interviewing scientists about their research along the way. Do you like comedy, whimsical storytelling, and learning about the natural world? If not, then you'll hate the Nature Disturbed podcast.
Yeah, so I started off just wanting to do animal care. I really didn't want to do education in general. I didn't like talking in front of people very much. But I learned that I really enjoy talking about things that I know a lot about, and getting to watch people, get that feeling of learning something new and appreciating our animals.
Very cool. So who are we talking about today?
Yes, so Lena is a Virginia opossum. She's about 5 or 6 months old. And opossums get sort of a bad rep. So we always love to show off our opossum friends.
So why? I've never taken the time to understand this, I guess, but I don't understand it. Like, they're cute. They're fun. They're really good for the environment and for people even because of what they do. So why do they get a bad rep?
I know. And looking at her, she's so cute.
Oh my gosh.
But people tend to find them in sort of weird circumstances. They are typically nocturnal. So, you might come across one at 10 o'clock at night taking your trash out and it shows all of its teeth at you. And that can be a little startling for sure. And some people think they look weird. They look like a giant rat or something like that. I think that they're adorable. But they just sort of get a bad rap because people don't quite understand them. But reality is they do such a good job for our environment. They eat a lot of weird bugs and ticks and things that we don't like. And they generally don't carry rabies, which is amazing. So they're super great to have around. They just sort of, people encounter them in sort of that weird, nighttime setting. So that sort of gives them that bad rep. But seeing them in the light, I think that they're very cute.
Yeah, I've never okay, I kind of get the rat thing. And obviously we were talking about this earlier, but we're all biased because we all know that rats are really cool and cute and fun. But, and a lot of people don't. But I don't know. I think of all that, like I used to be an arachnophobe, like I mentioned. And so I get the spider thing, even though I'm not afraid of them anymore and I like them. And I never got the snake, or I never was afraid of snakes, but I get it. They're creepy crawly, if you want to call it that. And they, have fangs and can poison you in people's minds. None of that is true. And, all this stuff. But, for a lot of garter snakes and stuff. But I don't know. I get it, but I've never gotten the opossum thing. It's just so weird.
I've always loved them. They do have a lot of teeth, so if they do show their teeth at you, that can be a little intimidating. But again, they are mostly using those teeth to munch on those things that we don't enjoy. So
yeah. So tell me what the experience is like when you're sharing an opossum with people and how that goes.
Yes, we love to show off her natural behaviors. So we'll set up a pen for her. We'll kind of scatter feed her snacks so she has to find them. They don't have really good eyesight, so she relies really heavily on her sense of smell. So a lot of times we'll ask the group to be nice and quiet, and they can hear, you can hear her sniffing usually. Plus, when she finds her snacks, the crunching is so cute.
Oh, fantastic. So much. We got so much of
yes,
today.
It's so great.
Yes.
So, we like to show off those natural behaviors. We show off how they move and why they look the way they do. Another thing that people sometimes find weird is their tail, because it's kind of naked, but that's super important for them because they can use that to hold on to things. Now they can't, hang upside down like they do in books and movies and things, but it is an extra appendage when you're climbing over weird stuff up into trees. It's going to help them to balance and hold on. They've got weird hands, which I think are really cool. And those weird hands help them to hold the food, bringing the food to their mouth. They have thumb-like fingers on their back feet to help them also for climbing as well. So we like to show off all of those things.
Yeah, that's very cool. Very cool. And so these are still very young. What kind of training are you doing with them?
Yeah, so we started off by just doing some crate training. So she goes in and out of her crate on her own, usually with a snack involved. And then we've been training them just to be comfortable in front of crowds and people and things. Because having not so good eyesight, they are a little more reactive to sound and things like that. So having them used to people moving around, weird shapes, weird sounds, because, they're going to be meeting kids in large groups of people and things like that. And then very, very recently, I just started working on some target training with her. She's still kind of figuring that out. Again, I'm not sure how well she can see, so we're just starting those processes.
Yeah, that would be challenging. Yeah. Would you ever consider doing a scent-based target or something like
That's
that?
a really great idea, possibly. I have been working on using kind of like a sound one. So taking the target stick and kind of tapping it on the ground first to kind of grab her attention with the sound versus just the visual. But scent would be really cool too.
That makes sense. Yeah, I'm pretty obsessed with like kind of weird. I also know at Nashville, which is where you got some friends from recently, I know. They had been working on using the clicker. So they don't use clicker training in the traditional way where you use it as a bridge. And they had all these clickers and they were like, well, what are we going to do with the clickers now that we're not using them as a bridge anymore? And so they actually started doing sound training to the clicker. And that was really interesting. It also brings up other conversations of, yes, but also is it sound training or, is the animal coming because it sees the clicker and they just see that like the target instead of the pole? You can go down really deep. I know. I love
figure
those
out
things.
what they're seeing or
but
hearing.
it is a really, really fascinating to think about targeting with senses other than just,
Yeah, it is really cool.
Yeah, very cool. So, how has the relationship building been going? How do you feel about all of that?
Yeah, it's been going very well. I've been trying to get her out a couple of times a week where I just kind of, have the snacks scattered. Sometimes I'll sit in there with her as well, just to get her used to coming over to me, just so we can if we have to do any nail trims or vaccines, things like that, to help kind of desense to touch. So she is pretty used to coming over. If I've got like a handful of snacks, a little bucket of snacks, she'll come over and she'll eat the snacks and I'm able to touch and manipulate on her back. So that way, if we need it to do any vaccines or things like that, we'd be able to do it.
And you're actually starting to try to desense to other people more now because I got to do that today.
Yes,
I got to sit in there.
Yes.
And how did you feel about that?
Yeah, I think she did amazing. When we first got our friend Lena, she was a little more sensitive to things moving around. Again, that not so good eyesight. But today I think she did an amazing job with you getting in there, hanging out with her. She didn't seem to care at all that you were a new person. You had snacks, so she was all about it.
Yeah, no, I thought it went really well. I was really I was very chuffed to be in there. It was quite a lot of fun, and crawling all over and just being perfect. I was pretty glad watching the scent marking after the fact that I didn't get scent marked because I don't know that I knew that opossums scent marked.
Yeah,
so,
they do. So yeah, if they find something they like, they're gonna scent mark it. She has scent marked on my shoes before after I stepped through a giant puddle the other day in a rainstorm. But yeah, they really like the logs and, having them come in after another animal that's already been in there, getting to interact with those smells too. So
yeah, very cool. Is there anything else you want to say about Lena or opossums in general?
Yeah,
any other things?
Lena's one of our two new opossums. Our other one is Marigold. And I just say, give them a chance. They're really, really cool. And so if you see one in your backyard, just give it a wave, say thank you for the job they're doing in your backyard.
Seriously.
Still give it space for sure, but make sure to tell it thank you because it's doing a lot of work.
Yeah, that's awesome. And then I was told that you have...
It's time now, don't you know? We've come to the end of the show. But there's one tale left to go. You're gonna laugh and say, oh no. It's time for the Rossifari poop story.
Yes. I sure do. So, as I said, we have another one named Marigold, and Marigold is really great about using her litter pan. She picked it up really quickly. She's like a perfect little princess. Whereas Lena is a little more chaotic when it comes to that. We've tried a couple different things to have her litter train, and she just likes to go wherever she wants to, and then she likes to stomp through it too. So she likes to walk through it and drag it everywhere. So even if we were to litter train her, I fear that she would still make a mess because she just loves stomping around and she doesn't really care what she's going through. So it's a fun time having to clean that every morning for her. But as long as she's having a good time, I guess that's all that matters.
Nice. Well, thank you so much for taking the time.
Of course.
My name is Kiera Broderick. I am one of the ambassador animal keepers here at Elmwood. I am in charge of the care of all of our ambassador animals. We have, I believe, 54 individuals at the moment. So we do daily care for them every day.
Very cool. And we're here specifically to talk about an animal we got to spend a little bit of time with today. But before we do that, just talk to me about, in general, what it's like caring for ambassadors.
It's a lot. It's a lot of fun. We have a really big variety of species. We have mammals, birds, reptiles, amphibians, and invertebrates. So we really get the full gambit of animal care. It's a very intense workload, but it's a lot of fun and very rewarding.
Sure. What drew you to education and ambassadors?
I honestly, Stella, our owl, I went to Temple University, so I started as an intern in our ambassador care program because of Stella. And then I just kept staying with it because I loved it so much.
That's awesome. And can you talk about, I mean, for people who are listening who don't know what Stella and Temple have to do with each other, talk about that. Yes.
Stella's Temple's official live mascot. So she goes to all of the home football games and a few basketball games and things like that. So I got to see her a whole bunch. I like to say she's the reason I know Elmwood even exists. So I wouldn't be here without her. But yeah.
Yeah, that's super cool. I love that. And I love, like, we were just talking about the eagle stuff. And then there's also the Temple owls.
Yes.
It's just so cool that this zoo is able to do that. And like you said, raise awareness, both of the animals and of the zoo, because there are still a lot of people who don't know that there is this absolute gem of a zoo in Norristown. Like even in the Philly area, they don't know that. And there are, it's kind of crazy, but just AZA accredited facilities within a 2-hour drive. There is the Philadelphia Zoo, Adventure Aquarium, Brandywine Zoo, Lehigh Valley Zoo, Maryland Zoo, National Aquarium, Zoo America, and I might be forgetting some that are in that range, but like there's a lot going on. You know, that's 7 other facilities, and while the AZA is all a love fest and there's no competition, you are competing for eyes and you need people to know that you exist to come in and yeah, so I think that is a really unique program. And I love that it's the Eagles and it's Temple and we need more sports teams. We got to get rid of the Flyers and change their name to like, you know, I don't know, the Barn Owls or something. Let Banshee go. I don't know.
Banshee go.
But yeah, very cool. So is there anything that you find about being an ambassador keeper that like surprised you or caught you off guard? Or have you ever had a moment where you're just like, this is weird?
I think just how different our training projects end up being. Like a lot of our exhibit keepers will do a lot of health-based behaviors, and we do those too, but it's very sometimes tricky to find like fun programmy behaviors that we can train for our animals. So it's very fun to kind of seek those out and come up with new ones.
Nice. Very cool. I am hugely passionate about training. So I think that is, that's the kind of thing where if I ever were to become a keeper, I would want to do something with a lot of training and a lot of thinking. And yeah, very cool. So do you get to work with Stella now? Like, is this
I do some Temple games. I go and I do a lot of interpretation. And I do like basic care behaviors. I can get her out on a scale and into a crate to do her husbandry. But we're not quite close enough yet for me to handle her.
Okay. But you still get to do. And so I'm curious if it's a like the first time you got to do some of that stuff. Was it like a full circle moment?
It very much was. So cool. It's very fun to work with her and all of our birds.
Right. Birds are such they're just fascinating. Yeah. So let's talk about who we were hanging out with today.
Yes. So we were hanging out with Miss Maple.
Yes.
She is one of our 3 ambassador skunks. We have 2 brand new baby skunks. They're almost 6 months old. Maple and her sister Ruby, they came to us from Nashville Zoo's breeding program. And I am the primary trainer for Maple and then secondary trainer for her sister.
Nice. So tell me everything about little Miss Maple. We had a lot of fun today.
She's very adorable. She is definitely a lot of energy. She's, I would say, the spunkier one compared to her sister. Her sister's a little bit more reserved. When we bring them out for exercise or program practice, Maple will come right out of her crate, as you saw, and she's just ready to go. Ruby's a little bit more like, where am I? And then she'll like get used to it and come out. But she's very, very fun to work with. She's a quick learner and she just makes me so proud.
That's awesome. What would you say is the benefit of introducing people to skunks?
I think they're an animal that gets a bad rap. We use them a lot in like our misunderstood animal programs. People are always, the first question is, are they going to spray me? And it's just very fun to talk about. Even though they are descented, they're probably not going to spray you unless you really intimidate them. They do a lot leading up to that because it's such an energy suck for them to spray. And it's just fun seeing people see how cool they are and how smart and adorable and chaotic. It's just very, very fun.
They really are chaotic. Like, I can't stress this enough. I took so many pictures along with video, and most of them were blurry. I got some good ones, but like normally when I'm photographing animals, it's like a 50% ratio of blurry or not. And with skunks, and it's not just Mabel, but in general, it's like 80 to 90% blurry.
I've been working with her for like 5 months now, and I think I have one good picture of her.
That's amazing. Yeah, that was really amusing to see. Just instantaneous energy, but very comfortable. You can tell that you guys have a really good relationship, which is
it's
cool.
very nice, very rewarding.
I got the vibe that like at the very beginning when you put her into the area that we were hanging out in, I got the vibe that she really wanted you to join. Like there was just that moment of you like prepping. It took like a minute, but like the whole time she was just like, you coming? Let's go. It's hangout time. Let's go.
As soon as you step away, she panics and she's like, where did she go? It's like a kid who lost their mom in the grocery store. And then as soon as I step in, it's like the world is fine and nothing bad can happen to her. But it's just so funny, like the panic of like, where'd she go? I'm ready right now.
That is really funny. I have a weird question for you that I just thought of. So you said they're descented, right? Which obviously.
Yes.
Yes. Do they know that?
No, they don't. They will, if they get really spooked, they're going to do every single lead up behavior to that. They just can't actually spray.
Right. That's what, I'm glad you understood where, because I was like, that's a weird way to ask this question, but I stand by it. But
yes. Our older skunk Pesto, who I'm also secondary trainer for, when he was going through his little chunky spell, he gained a lot of weight and he's been on a diet. But since he wasn't so food motivated, he was very like spooked by people instead of just interested in them for a little bit. So every time we'd walk by, he'd stomp and he'd throw up his tail and like back up as if he was about to spray, but he couldn't actually do it.
That is really funny. Yeah, knowing that skunks don't spray easily has allowed me, the few times that I've like seen them in the wild, like I won't approach close. Right. Obviously, I'm not an idiot, but I will go a little closer and try and get a cute picture or two. Usually they're blurry because, again, skunks. But and I've had friends be like, dude, what are you doing? You're going to get sprayed. I'm like, I'm really not. I'm not going to spook them. I'm not going to get too close. And again, anyone listening knows this, but don't approach wild animals. I have like things with zooms and stuff. But even so, like, it is amazing to me that like my friends assume that if I get within, 20 feet of a skunk, I'm going to get blasted just for existing. I'm like, no, that's not how skunks work. They're not like looking to spray people, which I think a lot of people is, what they assume.
We get that a lot with our porcupines too. People think they're going to shoot their quills at us and they can't do that.
No, they cannot. No, I love, and I get it. And especially with media showing that sometimes I get where it comes from. But as we said earlier in this episode with a different guest, opossums don't hang from their tails and porcupines don't shoot their quills and skunks aren't looking to blast you to make you smell bad. And just all of these kind of tropes are just not true. I will tell you, I know I've told this on here before, but we have new listeners. So one of the funniest things ever to me was that I was in my single days, I was on Tinder and I was talking to a match. And I mentioned that I really love animals. And she was like, oh my God, well, what are some of your favorite animals? And one of them is turtles. I love turtles. And she was like, I love turtles too. They're so cute, except for when they come out of their shells. And I was like, that's really funny. And she's like, no, they look really weird when they come out of their shells.
They don't
and
do that.
I just unmatched, which is terrible of me. But I sat there and I stared at it for like 30 seconds and I was like, nope. Yeah. And I have strong feelings about certain things. And turtles not crawling out of their shell is one of them. Awesome. So is there anything else that you want to tell me about skunks in general or about the new ones here or anything like that?
They're just the smartest little animals. They can learn so much so quickly. That targeting behavior that I was doing with Maple earlier, she picked that up in a single session.
Nice.
So I'm very excited for them to get out on more programs. They're going to start doing our private skunk encounters pretty soon. So I'm very excited about all of that.
Very cool. Well, thanks for taking the time to do this and for letting me meet a skunk. It was so fun.
She's just the best.
So good.
And just like that, we are back off to the races and having a great time. I hope y'all enjoyed that, especially those of you that are football fans. So before we get going, I do want to take a moment to remind y'all to make sure you're following on the socials at Rossifari, on TikTok at Rossifari Pod. Don't forget to check out at Safe Red Panda on social media. We're currently doing a really cool Safe Red Panda logo merch sale that I'm pretty excited about. And of course, you can support the podcast by going to patreon.com/Rossifari, as have many of my patrons. All of my patrons have done that, really, and I want to say thanks to them all, especially my Red Panda level patrons, Dr. Laura Schenk, Dr. Stephen Williamson, Barbara Bennett, Jenny Owens, Melissa Reed, Carrie Kirkpatrick, John Lewis, who is also here for stickers, Kevin Williams, and Cormac McMuffin. Meow. Thank you all so much for being here. We'll see you back here on Friday for Zoo News, and remember, friends, it may be 2026, but one thing that hasn't changed is that the word credits backwards is still Styderk. The Rossifari podcast is produced, hosted, and engineered by John Rossi. Editing and fact-checking by John and Dr. Zoe Rossi. Our theme song is Sevens by Nathan Burke, performed by Nathan and John. Interrupting John theme and additional voices by Taylor Isaac Gray. You can reach John directly on Instagram and Facebook at Rossifari or by email at rossifaripod@gmail.com. Rossifari is part of the Daydreamer Media Network. Now, stop listening to me and go visit a zoo.